Hey guys, in this video we're going to talk about Ethereum. We're going to talk about alt season. Is it coming? Are we in alt season? There's definitely speculation from major whales that we are in fact in alt season. They are accumulating, they are buying heavy. We have seen this with the spot Ethereum ETFs outperforming Bitcoin ETFs. And just recently we saw 9 addresses bought $450 million worth of Ethereum. Whales are buying ETH. And we've been seeing major whales trimming Bitcoin to buy ETH. One whale sold 670 Bitcoin worth 76 million to purchase 68,000 Ethereum, valued at 295 million. And we also recently had a massive whale buying and staking $2.5 billion worth of ETH. These major whales that have been OGs in Bitcoin, hold Bitcoin from back when it was $100, $10, etc. They are trimming, taking their profits from Bitcoin and buying ETH on speculation of alt season, which we have seen around this time every cycle. Analysts are pointing to the strongest signs of an alt season rotation in 4 years, as institutional capital shifts into Ethereum. And according to Crypto Quant, Ethereum is showing firmer momentum than Bitcoin, supported by rising open interest in futures. And look at this, retail isn't even in yet. Retail investor activity on local tops. There is no retail yet. And this is retail activity through trading frequency. And analysts also point out that Bitcoin's current consolidation between 109 and 121,000 is a lot like past phases where altcoins began to outperform. And like we mentioned with the ETFs, this is also playing out in ETF flows. Last week, US listed Bitcoin ETFs suffered more than $1 billion in outflows, whereas Ethereum ETFs saw $455 million in inflows on Tuesday alone. Inflows into ETH ETFs have repeatedly outpaced Bitcoin ETFs in recent weeks, with this trend first noted in July. We also have Bitcoin dominance dropping, and it broke an important trend as well. Look at Bitcoin dominance. It's been following this general support. It isn't perfect, but you can see there's points where we bounce off of it. And when you see the market clearly reacts on it, it bounced off of it as a support, bounced again, was rejected, tried to come up, found it as resistance, and started just selling off. Dominance is dropping for Bitcoin, which is a great sign for alt season. And it isn't necessarily a bad sign for Bitcoin. The alts need Bitcoin to perform well so that they can perform well as well. The rate that they perform is better than Bitcoin, bringing Bitcoin dominance down. It doesn't mean Bitcoin has to go down for alts to go up. Quite the contrary. But yeah, Bitcoin dominance has fallen from 65% in June of 2025 to now about 58%, and I do expect to see it drop a little more. Now I want to show you Bitcoin's historical monthly returns. At this time in the cycle, usually you see some pretty good returns. Typically August and September can be rough. Last cycle, September was a 7% drop, August was 13% up. The peak year before that, 65% up in August, 7% down in September. But look at October and November, especially during a peak year. Look at 2013. 60% up in October, 449% up in November. Keep in mind, diminishing returns. Bitcoin is not going to give 449% no matter what you think. Look at 2017 peak year, 47% up in October, 53% up in November. And again, 2021, 39, almost 40% up in October, down 7% in November. If the past is any indicator of the present, of what this cycle will bring, we should see a very positive end of year. Bitcoin has not topped out yet, according to past cycles. And while of course we're not going to see any kind of a 400-something% gain in 1 month, typically October and November are some very good months for Bitcoin, especially when you're talking about a peak year, which 2025 should be that. Now I do want to point out on Bitcoin that we do have some bullish divergence now here. We have on the 4-hour, the RSI has been rising, hitting higher lows, whereas the price has been going lower. We may be due for a bounce soon. We may be due for some recovery. And I mentioned this yesterday, but for those of you that didn't watch yesterday's video, keep an eye on this general trend. This is our resistance lately, and this has been our support. If we go lower, I would anticipate a bounce right around 107, 108,000. If we break this, the market will react on it. And zooming in a bit, it does look like we are forming a falling wedge, which is a bullish pattern. Price tightens up towards the bottom, and then we get a nice breakout when we break this descending line. I am also keeping an eye on that for some upwards moves. We also have analysts calling for ETH to go much higher. Supply on exchange is at a low at 12% of the whole supply, and Coinbase says a full-scale alt season may be just ahead. They and others define alt season when at least 75% of the top 50 alts by market cap outperform Bitcoin over 90 days. If you wait for 75%, you might miss out on some of this potential run. realize that in this cycle there's a lot of oversaturation of alts. Anyone can make an altcoin. There are tons of alts compared to last cycle, which means money is more spread out. If you follow the cycle, and we're already anticipating alt season coming up, look at how much these alts are giving. Crow massively outperforming Bitcoin in the last 90 days. ETH 72%. I would not wait until it's 75% of the alts. I think now is a good time to dip your toes in some altcoins that you like, if you haven't already. Whales are anticipating alt season, and I think we should too. Now looking at Ethereum, for one, I'm watching this ascending support line. If we break this, we might see a reaction to the downside. I'm also watching for potential head and shoulders. Here's a shoulder, here's a head that went a little higher, and if we kind of bounce here, get another shoulder and break this pattern, that might bring us down into the low fours. But you know, we broke last cycle's all-time high by just a hair. I think on the next break of all-time high, we will see a big reaction. It took a lot for us to get here. I mean, look at how much it has run. I want to see ETH establish good support here. Utilize previous resistances right around the, you know, low 4,000, 4,100, 4,200 area. Use these as a new support. Flip them as a support, which we did get a bounce right around there. Those previous resistances, we did get a bounce after we pulled back from near all-time high. I do expect a really good move once ETH gets back to its all-time highs. It breaks out again. Is my 8 to 10,000 expectation a little too bullish at this point? Possibly. I mean, that would be about a 60% to 80% return by the end of the cycle. That might be too optimistic. But from here to 6,000, a 33% gain, is that too much to ask for? I don't think so. Some people were calling for a $20,000 Ethereum, a $10,000 Ethereum. While anything is possible, I do think the likelihood is somewhat low. I think 6,000 to 8,000 at this point in the cycle is pretty reasonable to expect. From right around the middle of July to here, Ethereum has done almost 90%. What we have seen in past cycles, here's quarterly returns for ETH. In 2017, it gave 151% gain in the fourth quarter. In 2021, it gave a 22% gain in the fourth quarter. 2020, it gave 105. You'll see that on the peak year of the cycle, we're talking 2021, 2017, 2025, that's as far back as this goes, to the 2017 cycle. You know, looking at October, November, December, you typically see some good gains, and this is right at the end of the cycle. When people are taking some profits from Bitcoin, there's a lot of hype, euphoria, people are putting money into more risky things like alts. Things get a little out of control, and then the cycle repeats. We get back into a bear market, alts drop considerably, Bitcoin drops, and we start the reaccumulation phase. I do think this cycle will be no different, and we will see altcoins perform well over the next 2 to 3 months or so. And that is where I think things will top out. But what say you? Does Bitcoin and the alts continue to rally into 2026 because of this newfound institutional adoption? Because of this attention from the spot Bitcoin ETFs and spot Ethereum ETFs? Do we just see money continue to flow into Bitcoin and alts? Or do we see what we have seen every time in the cycle? A pullback after that peak year. Do we top out in 2025 or do we top out in 2026? Are the cycles broken? Some people will say yes, the cycle is broken. Some people will say the cycle never existed in the first place and it has more to do with liquidity, among other things. People are pretty split on whether we follow out the cycle or whether we continue on because of this newfound adoption, Bitcoin reaching critical mass, so to speak. But let me know what you guys think. Thanks as always for watching, guys, and I will see you on the next one.